All right, welcome back to another session of Awareness. I am your host, Taylor Martin. I'm here with Cal Moore. It seems like since the dawn of this planet, everybody's seeking answers. And there's lots of different texts, and there's lots of different, what we like to call gurus out there, things of the nature. There has to be thousands of different religions out there. And all sorts of different, spirituality in all different sectors. So let's just talk a little bit about that, I guess, as a whole. I know that you've had extensive studies and research within religious studies, spirituality studies. So I just kind of want to get just an overview take without getting too deep on anything in particular. How do we look at those things? And I guess at the end of the day, for all the people that are out there that are seeking answers and finding resonance with truth, how do we get there?
Wow, that's a pretty big topic, and that's what's pretty much created all the wars and brutality on the planet, so it's not a very light subject.
Right.
As I studied through religious studies, I found that most of the pagan religions, like shamanism, Celtic, witchcraft, things like that, they had been around long before, we'll say, more of the recent religions, like being a Christian, being a Muslim, being a Jew, all of Judaism, things like that. Those were all, we'll say, on the planet less time than the pagan religions. That's
Okay.
when we'll say most of the pagan religions, what they did was they did a lot of sacrifice to the gods. There was many gods, just like in ancient Greece and ancient Rome. There was a god of war, there was a god of love, and that's pretty much how most of the pagan religions, even the Celtic, they had a war god, they had a god for crops, so they had, and the Buddhists and the Hindus, thousands of, there's not just one hell or one demon, there's thousands of them in Hinduism and also Buddhism.
Okay.
So you don't have to deal with just one, we'll say, devil. There's thousands of them. And then there's thousands of the other gods. And then when, we'll say, some of the other prophets or religious people came out of the planet, like Muhammad and Jesus and some other ones, they started saying, there's monotheistic, which is kind of one God that you should pay attention to and not pay attention to all these other singular gods, because, they said they were false gods. And this is probably going to just piss off a lot of people. I'm just stating what I have learned in a lot of the texts and the information that I've seen. So what it comes down to is, when I started to do this work, I just wanted to know the answers. I was like, okay, why is this world so crazy? Why are there so many wars? Why do people hate each other? Why is everybody saying my religion's better than your religion, therefore I can kill you, and I can, like the Crusades was a horrible thing.
It's horrible, and I think that you're like most. I mean, most are out there wondering these questions, and most of us are programmed to what we are supposed to believe through a family line.
Right.
And through that family line, through that family line, through that family line. So I mean, if I was brought up and dragged to church and taught to pay attention to Christianity, and their spoken word is it's truth. That is what I was taught. Yet at the same sense, if I grew up in India, that would be a very different teaching that I've been able to get. So I think there's a lot of people that are like me and like you that are at various points where they ask questions, where they really want to know the truth. And I think ultimately at the end of it all, it is about absorbing knowledge. And I'm the same as you. I'm an information junkie, so I study everything. I try to learn as much as I can. And at the end of the day, to me, it's what
Yeah,
has
it's like, why am I here?
resonance.
What's the truth?
It has resonance. I can't really operate on hope and faith. I need to operate on certainty. And I guess that's one of the things that I've really found with your work in particular. I can see it. I can see it.
Yeah.
Clear as day.
And that's why it worked for me too. Because when I started studying this work, I kind of innately knew it. It resonated as correct. It's what I believed. And then I was given the right tools so I could do something. So I didn't just have to believe it or say a prayer or a mantra or anything like that. I could sit down and visually do something because I'm very visual.
I am too.
And because believe it or not, in your spiritual body, it's all visual.
Mm-hmm.
So I could sit down and I could change something. I didn't want a destiny that was given to me and said, well, this is how you have to be. No, God says I have free will. Whether you believe in God or not, whatever higher force, I believe you come back here to change things. Otherwise, why does everybody keep going through these cycles? If everything's planned out for you and you have no choice in the matter, it's just a bad video game. You know, so it's like, okay, if somebody sees something for you, some psychic or spiritual healer, whatever, this is going to happen. What if you don't like what's going to happen to you? Because so many people that I've worked on, you know, they see bad things happening to them, and there's a lot of bad things that happen out there. How do you change that? And some of, like, for example, Jesus said, everything is in you and all around you. And what that meant to me, and that was in the texts that were in the Dead Sea Scrolls, which they found, which were written in Aramaic, which is the ancient teachings of Christ. And even Buddha taught stuff like that about the chakras, that basically your information is inside of you and all around you, which means your chakras, your energy body, and then your aura. So all these pictures are around you. So how do you handle that? How do you change that? There's been many spiritual people that have seen this stuff, but they don't seem to be able to teach it in basic form so that people can, we'll say, change their own world. Why do you have to pay somebody else or give up your whole world for a religion that's not even working? I mean, because, you know, I was a Catholic, I went to all-girls Catholic school, then I was a Buddhist for 5 years, and they're like, oh, you know, say Hail Marys, say Buddhist chants, whatever, and they would work to a point. I'm not going to say prayer is bad or mantras are bad, but there's a real limit to them. If you can't see what you're working on and you can't access your own information in your body, you don't know who you are and you don't know what to do with it. Once you can start to see who you are and delete the pictures you don't want, it's like your own movie editor. And that's what I saw when I was working on people. You know, originally they couldn't see something, so I would help facilitate them. And then they start to, you know, clear their sixth chakra, and they start to see almost these movie reels of themselves, and they're able to delete this stuff. It's like, if you don't like the movie you're in, change it.
Change it. There should be no reason why I have to give up my seniority to somebody else because somebody else tells me that I have to.
Right. If they wrote down a religious text, maybe that worked for them. That was their information.
Right.
Only your information works for you, and everybody's information, even though it may be similar, is different.
It's different.
It's different.
Very much so.
So you have to access who you are and listen to your own information. Otherwise, it's never going to work. You're never going to be happy. You're never going to be healthy. And you're never going to be wealthy.
Right. Right. And that's the truth. So it really is, I think, it's about finding that certainty for yourself. And you being in control of your world and you having seniority over yourself, both your physical body and your spiritual body. So thanks again for joining us for another session of awareness, and we'll see you soon.